10,000 years after the great ice melted, when rivers had long carved their paths and civilizations began to bloom, there rose upon the eastern horizon a land of vast rivers, fertile plains, and unyielding spirit. The Middle Kingdom. It was here, under the wide skies of the Yellow River Valley, that a new empire took breath. An empire that would shape not only its people, but the destiny of all Asia. This was the rise of the dragon. China, from the chaos of warring kingdoms. The Han emerged as a unifier of a divided land, under the banners of Liu Bang, the humble peasant who became Emperor Gaozu. China found peace, order, and purpose. The dragon began to breathe again. The Han built roads that stitched the empire together, canals that fed fields, and walls that guarded its soul. Silk flowed westward through deserts and mountains, the veins of a new world called the Silk Road. From Chang'an, the imperial capital, the dragon's wings stretched across Central Asia to Persia, India, and distant Rome. It was the beginning of global civilization. Scholars gathered scrolls, astronomers mapped the heavens, and artisans captured eternity in jade and bronze. Confucius' teachings became law. Harmony replaced conquest. The emperor ruled not as a god, but as a son of heaven, chosen by the mandate of heaven to maintain balance between earth and sky. This belief, that power was sacred only when just, would echo across generations, shaping kings and empires beyond China's borders. To the east, across the narrow sea, a group of islands watched and listened. They would one day call themselves Neon, the land of the rising sun. But in this age, they were still children, silent witnesses to the dragon's awakening. In the Han world, every life had order. The farmer tilled, the scholar studied, the soldier guarded. The emperor, balanced between gods and mortals, preserved harmony or lost heaven's favor. When famine struck or rebellion rose, it was not just a crisis, it was a heaven speaking. A ruler's virtue determined the world's peace. And when virtue faltered, rebellion came, as fire comes to dry grass. Dynasties rose and fell upon this invisible law. And through it, China learned to see power not as birthright, but as responsibility. It was an idea that would ripple across the sea to Japan centuries later, where rulers, too, would claim divine lineage to justify their reign. The mandate of heaven became the foundation of all East Asian civilization, a bridge between gods and governance. Centuries passed. The Han faded into dust, replaced by warlords and whispers of empire lost. China fell into chaos once more, a land without unity, torn by ambition. But from this darkness rose the Sui dynasty under Emperor Wan, who dreamed of restoring heaven's order. He rebuilt canals, reformed laws, and reconnected the empire. And for the first time, envoys from across the seas arrived at China's gates. They came from a distant archipelago, from a land still wild, yet curious, Japan. They came not to conquer, but to learn. They bowed before the dragon and carried home what they saw, the art of governance, the rhythm of ceremony, and the spark of civilization. When the Sui gave way, a greater light rose. The Tang dynasty, the age of poetry, power, and beauty. Chang'an, the Tang capital, became the heart of the world. Its streets were filled with Persians, Arabs, Indians, and Koreans. Monks in saffron robes debated scholars in silk. Traders spoke in dozens of tongues. Here, ideas flowed as freely as the rivers that fed the land. China became not merely an empire, but a civilization of the mind. Poets like Li Bai and Du Fu wrote of love and war, of moonlight and exile, their verses drifting across centuries. Artists painted immortals on silk. Sculptors carved dragons from marble. Science advanced gunpowder, printing, the compass, gifts that would one day change the world. And from Japan came emissaries, eager to learn. They brought back Chinese writing, Buddhism, art, and government. a transformation that would give birth to the Imperial Japan we know today. The island became a mirror, reflecting the brilliance of the Tang. The dragon's reflection shimmered upon the rising sun. From India's sacred rivers, through the deserts of Central Asia and into China's heart, Buddhism journeyed eastward. It arrived in the chaos of the Han's fall, offering peace amid suffering. By the Tang era, it had become a river of enlightenment flowing through Chinese thought. Temples rose from mountainsides, monks translated sutras, and pilgrims like Xuanzang traveled to India to bring back sacred knowledge. The Buddha's message of compassion blended with China's Confucian order and Taoist balance, creating a uniquely Chinese harmony, the three teachings. Across the sea, Japan watched once more. Their princes sent envoys to learn the faith. From these journeys came Prince Shotoku, who declared that all life was guided by harmony, a vision born from the dragon's wisdom. He built temples in Nara, crafted Japan's first constitution, and declared his land a rising sun, a name forever shaped by China's light. Under the Tang, learning and warfare balanced like yin and yang. The scholar's brush was as mighty as the warrior's blade. Exams replaced bloodlines. Talent could elevate a peasant to greatness. It was civilization by merit, a dream unseen elsewhere in the ancient world. Chinese ideas crossed the sea with scrolls and sailors. Japan's rulers studied these systems, building courts and codes inspired by Tang law. In this way, China became not a conqueror of land, but a conqueror of minds. Its empire was not of armies, but of ideas. After Tang's golden dawn came dusk. The empire fractured again, but from its ashes rose a gentler strength, the Song dynasty. The Song did not rule by conquest, but by knowledge. They invented movable printing, paper money, and advanced engineering. Their cities glittered with lanterns, their harbors filled with ships bound for the world. Neo-Confucianism blossomed, a new philosophy of morality and order. Art reached spiritual heights. Ink landscapes spoke of silence. Paintings breathed with philosophy. Across the sea, Japan entered its own classical age. Heian nobles composing poetry. Samurai rising as protectors of honor. Though separate, the two nations were bound by invisible threads. The exchange of ideas, faith and beauty. The dragon dreamed, the rising sun listened. Then, from the northern steppes, thunder rolled. A storm of hooves and steel descended upon the world. The Mongols, led by Genghis Khan and his grandson Kublai, they shattered kingdoms and redrew the map of Earth. China fell under their shadow. Kublai conquered the Song, uniting all of China under the Yuan dynasty. For the first time, the dragon knelt to foreign masters. But Kublai did not destroy China. He adopted it. He built Beijing, embraced Confucian scholars, and revived the Silk Road. Yet his ambition reached beyond the mainland. To the east, he saw the island of Japan, small, proud, and defiant. He sent envoys bearing letters of peace, demanding Japan's submission. The shogun of Kamakura, Hojo Tokumian, answered with silence. The envoys returned. Kublai sent more. They, too, were executed on the beach at Kamakura. The Mongol emperor's patience broke. He gathered his armies, Chinese engineers, Korean shipwrights, Mongol cavalry, and built the greatest fleet the world had ever seen. In 1274, the first invasion came. They landed at Hakata Bay in Kyushu, bearing firebombs and thunder. The samurai met them blade for blade. But the Mongols fought differently, in ranks with drums and smoke. Japan faltered until the storm